800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Thursday. Final day here, silver rounds, assorted silver rounds, $580 a roll of 20 by 25 rolls or more, $570. This was a great deal yesterday. It was a great deal yesterday. Silver's up another 40 cents. Silver's right now back to $24. An even better day. We were already the cheapest yesterday. We're even better than that today. Continue to add here as, again, it looks like this debt ceiling is going to easily get through the Senate. The House has already passed it. Schumer was out saying that he's looking to fast-track it. So it looks like, at least as far as Schumer is acting, they have the Republican votes, excuse me, that they're going to need to pass it.
Yeah, it's interesting how much the same old story. They hate each other. Yeah, it was nonpartisan. All Republicans vote one side, all Democrats vote the other side. And then when they need a debt deal passed, there's just enough Republicans to work it. And the worst thing you'll ever hear when these guys vote on anything is it was bipartisan. Anytime that Republicans and Democrats agree on something, not good for us. Hey, they agreed to put a central bank in place in 1913. That was bipartisan. How did that work out, Joe, right?
Yeah, that is always the ones. You're getting screwed when you get that deal. Gold now at the highs of the day, now up 1982. Silver's up 43 cents now, 24.02. And some interesting things that are happening. Making $100,000 a year. That kind of used to be the I made it number, right? Hey, if you got to $100,000 a year in salary, by and large, you're like, hey, man, you know what? Yeah, I've got a good thing going here. I'm not only am I middle class, Jason. You're talking about upper middle class in a lot of areas of the country. $100,000 a year plus. You were, probably at the upper class, right? Upper middle class to upper class at $100,000 a year. This is how fast inflation works.
Yep.
They're now saying it doesn't matter where you live. You're making $100,000 a year. 50% of those people are living paycheck to paycheck. Are you kidding me?
And if you're sitting there listening to the show and you're saying, I only make $50,000 a year, that's ridiculous. Well, you're living $50,000 a year paycheck to paycheck. Other people are living $100,000 paycheck to paycheck. As obviously, the standard of living is a little different. People have a little higher standard of living. They spend money on stuff. Maybe they shouldn't have to spend that money. But if they have the bigger house, if they have the higher taxes, they have the HOA and all the other costs of being in a little more expensive locale, then you're paycheck to paycheck. You may have the bigger house, but it doesn't matter if you're making $200,000 a year, right, Joe? If it's flying out the door as fast as you're bringing it in, you'll live just like the guy making $35,000 a year. Maybe you got a little few extra bells and whistles in your life, but they got you. They got the $35,000 a year guy, and they got the $100,000 a year guy pinned down. And this is why you can listen to a show like this. You got to figure out what your priorities are, and if you're not paying yourself, you're not saving, then you're not going to be ready for the things that we talk about. The inflation the inflation was built in. That was built into the cake, right? They baked it in, 2% a year. And we're just going to steal from you every year, 2% a year. Now, what, 5% a year? Is that permanent, maybe? Do you want to talk about permanent theft, 5% a year, and you're not prepared for this? This is why $100,000 a year guys are now living paycheck to paycheck, and it's going to move to $200,000 a year guys in the future, Joe. And that might not happen not too far in the future.
Yeah, and this is something, again, where a lot of out here that are going to affect a lot of things. You have to make a lot more money now. I mean, look at minimum wage. I know the government says $7.25, but nobody's working, at least here in Arizona. I mean, I don't even know if $15 gets it done anymore. I mean, there's Shane's, or not Shane's, it was, one of the fast food places here in town. They've gone to $19 an hour.
An hour, yeah.
An hour just to make it work. I remember, back in the day, Eric used to talk about, hey, the new union jobs are going to be working at McDonald's, and you're going to get paid $30 an hour, right? And a combo meal is going to be $25. Well, look, we're halfway there. I mean, we're almost at $20 an hour. A combo meal is like $12. I mean, this is where we're headed.
And they say, we're getting on top of inflation. It's going down. No, it's just like this debt ceiling thing. They made a cut. Well, they made a cut in the train spending. It's still more spending. It's less more spending. Well, now what? We got more inflation.
We've slowed the rise, right? We've slowed the rise.
Yeah, $19 an hour to work at McDonald's or something, right? Right. I mean, and what kind of lifestyle does that afford you? Not very good. I mean, people just don't get it. They just don't get it. When the Depression happened, and people see the food lines, there was plenty of food. Here's the thing that they don't really talk about. There was plenty of food. It's just that the farmer needs to make money for his work, and when he's harvesting the food, if he can't get it to market to pay more than his expenses, then it just sits in the fields and rots. That's where we're headed right now. We have food lines right now. It's called your EBT card, your food stamps, right? This inflation in this market is heading towards another depression, and there's going to be plenty of food. But if the producers can't make money to bring it to you, they'll send it somewhere else first, and second, they'll just let it sit there and rot. Because if I can't make money on this, what am I going to do? Why do I send my guys out there? And this is where the government comes. This is where this oppressive government comes in. They might come and say, we're going to make you put that food to market, right? See, all these things are right. All these things are in our future. That the craziness of what we're seeing is just going to compound, and you need to be prepared for that. An economic disaster is much more common and expected than end of the world, and you're going to have to barter with silver dimes with everybody. It's going to be a currency change, a reset economically worldwide, and this is why we do what we do, Joe.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to give you a great example. Let's take cars. Okay, pretty simple. Right? Everyone needs transportation. In 2018, subprime, which by the way, subprime would mean credit score of 620 or less, and deep subprime made up about 25% of the car market. When we get back, I'm going to show you what inflation has done to that. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. (800) 951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour here on this Thursday, the silver special, last day, silver rounds, rolls of $2,580. If you buy 25 rolls or more, $570. Most places are like $620. $630, $640, so big savings there. And I just got an email. This is another good one here. This is going to be a one-shot deal, so this is a one-day deal here. $10 Liberties. They've been the hot item, right? They've been the cheapest item. 1 through 19, $11.35. 1 through 19. If you buy 20 or more, $11.30. So again, remember though, those were cheaper earlier in the week, but I mean, gold's up like $40. And again, debt ceiling, good news, obviously for the gold and silver markets. 800-951-0592. So we're talking about what does inflation do? This is the new car market going back to 2018, okay, 25% of the market, new car, was subprime and deep subprime. today, subprime loans account for 6% of the new car market. Deep subprime doesn't even get to 2% of the market. So a little over, we went from 25% to a little over 7%. Jason, because guess what? They can't even afford the payment, right? They can't make that payment. And you're thinking about, hey, these are people that were able to 5 years ago buy a new vehicle. They no longer can do it. And you know what I would love to know? I would love to know that number maybe from, say, 620 to 680, maybe 700. I'd love to see how that number has fallen as well, because I guarantee you that number's fallen as well.
Yeah, and the defaults on payments for the people that bought the cars in 2021. Remember the number one commodity that price rise in 2021 was used cars. Remember that, Joe? And everybody was buying a car with their free money. I wonder how many of those 2021 car loans are no longer being paid for just 2 years later.
Well, let me tell you. Let me show you also what's incredible. A $43,000 car loan. Which today, $43,000, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a really nice car. Not anymore, right? That's kind of, that's pretty low end now for a new car. If you have a subprime rate, do you know what the rate is? 18%. 18%. You got a car payment that's essentially, it's $1,000. But here's the weird thing. Let's just say that you've got the top credit score. Okay, I'm not talking about, hey, you got 680. No. I'm talking you got 800 plus score. You're still at 6.2%. And, of course, my guess is probably going a little higher now because rates have moved again. But, Jason, that's $720 a month for the guy with the best score. And again, this is why most new car loans now are over $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked because this is not just car loans. I get the credit card. I don't do a lot of credit cards. I'm not a credit card guy, but you get the, for sometimes I get a lot of offers. Then you get periods where you don't get very many offers. Well, I got an offer in the mail. I think I said this maybe a week ago. I have good credit. I'm one of those the top credit. I've got one of those big scores for whatever that means. I'm not a big score guy, but they were offering me 31.74% interest on a credit card, Joe. 31% with good credit, right? I mean, I don't know if when they send these bland offers, if they just send the same thing out. Maybe that's just a blanket offer for anybody because they don't know exactly what you are without looking. But still, I mean, whose credit is so bad that they should get 31.74% interest, Joe? Who falls into that hole? Man, I feel really bad for people that don't understand that.
A lot of people do. And once you're in the hole, it feels almost impossible to get out of that hole. And again, when you think about it, at 30+%, it probably is impossible to get out of that hole.
Exactly. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I would cry every time the bill came that I hadn't paid the credit card in full just to see the interest line. Even if the interest line was like $300 on, I don't know, what would that be? $1,000? No, that'd be the annuals. But you know what I mean? Break that by 12. So what is it? $150 on $1,000 every month?
Yeah, every month. Every month.
Every month. Everybody, because 30% interest is on $1,000.
Now remember, they were making a big stink about all the payday lenders. Remember the payday? We're going to shut them out. And we're going to throw them out. And we hate the pawn shops. Look at the interest they're making. Now the credit card companies are making that. Nobody's saying a word.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve Central Bank is the loan shark. That is the shark that's the whale of all sharks, right? That's the big one. They've got us all in debt. They got the whole damn world in debt, and they're going to put their thumb down when they need to. That's why I'm saying, Joe, I don't know what the Fed's plan is, but they're not going to suffer. The people that own and run the Fed, they're not going to suffer. If they need to raise the rates another 2%, like Jamie Dimon, you were saying, that'd be a horrible, awful thing for the markets. They'll do it. They'll clean up. They'll buy up all those assets when everything breaks down and suffers. Pennies on the dollar, Joe. That's how you do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Thursday right after the break. $800-951-0592. U.S. $10 Liberty gold pieces. Today is a good day. What is that? Ice Cube. Today is a good day, right? 1 through 19, $1,135. 20 or more, $1,130. On the silver side, assorted silver rounds, rolls of 20, $580. Buy 25 rolls or more, $570 at 800-951-0592. Gold's up 20 at 1984. Silver's up 45 cents here, 24.05. The Dow is higher as well because it looks like, Jason, hey, the debt ceiling thing was a big nothing burger and really nothing because they actually came together and said, hey, we got a great idea. Listen, we're going to say that we cut spend not by 0.1%, but in actuality, we're actually going to increase spending, but don't tell anybody. And lo and behold, both sides loved it.
Right. Yeah, and I scarcely think that any of these guys actually. Some of them are thinking, I guess. Some of them are actually making the votes, I guess. There's someone telling them how to vote, Joe. It's the whole process the last bunch of weeks over this whole debt ceiling thing. It just seems like these guys are making phone calls to who actually makes the decision. And then when they get the green light, okay, vote yes on this. Okay. Why do you get the feeling? That's it. Your congressman, what's his name, gets the phone call. All right, you're going to vote yes on this one. Okay. Right? Okay. That's how worthless the whole thing is, Joe. It's how and by the way, all that spending you talked about, how the debt's going to immediately go up, and the spending. Well, this is not going to help inflation much at all, is it?
Well, that's the other side of it that really I haven't heard them talk about at all. Is this is actually another one of the things where you say, okay, maybe the Fed, you know what, they're going to have to raise rates again because the federal government is continuing to spend, right? It doesn't matter. Hey, yep. You would have thought, I would have thought somehow, some way, okay, come on. We're at 32. Now, once this deal gets passed, we're going to be over $32 trillion. We're running budget deficits. We'll see what this year shakes out at. Somewhere north of $2.5 trillion next year, by all accounts. Most people expect a budget deficit to exceed $3 trillion, and they couldn't even agree to cut anything. Come on.
Yeah, the interest on the debt. For years I've been watching that thing go up. It's like, yeah, one day it'll be the biggest thing that we have to pay on, and it's at our doorstep, Joe. Here it is, right? Yeah, increase the military budget. Keep up with it.
Well, they did that, right? So they're going to try to military spending, right? We're going to go to, I think next year 2024's number is going to be over $900 billion. Unfortunately, the interest on the debt by that time is going to be well north of $1 trillion. So even the increase in military spending, not enough to offset how much interest we're paying on all the money we're borrowing. We talk about that credit card. Remember, we're talking about the credit card. This is where we're at with the federal government. This credit, the minimum payment is starting to kill us.
You spend $900 billion on the military. You got to ask your question: what are you fighting against? What's this military fighting against? I think we're all sitting here. It's us, Joe. That's why there's $900 billion. Yeah.
800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the half-empty cup.